What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here. It's Thursday. You know what that means here at Fightful.com. I am here with the man now known as the shit-eating wild man of professional wrestling, Matt Riddle.
Where did I get the shit-eating wild man of professional wrestling?
Well, you're a wild man, aren't you?
I am a wild man.
I don't know that you eat shit, but it fits.
It fits. Okay.
It fits.
Yeah, sure. I'll let it slide for now.
I'm not going to hit you with the how was your week bullshit this week, Matt.
Oh. Okay.
I'm looking you straight in the eye, and I'm going to ask you something. Has TNA Wrestling contacted you?
No.
They haven't.
Not that I know. Oh, you know what? They haven't contacted me directly because they don't have my contact information. But they've contacted people to get a hold of me. I've been so busy, though, I haven't even got back to that yet. But I don't want to mention names of said contacts, but one of my former coaches and ECW alumni at the Monster Factory, told me somebody wanted my information. And I've just been so busy, I haven't been able to get back to him yet. So, nobody's contacted me, but people have contacted other people to get in contact with me.
You may not know this, Matt, but a TNA agent works for us here at Fightful.com and Shane Helms. So, information. Now, here's what I want to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Are they legally allowed to contact you due to your Evolve status?
I don't know what the legalities are with TNA are. I know Ring of Honor is a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
But I know WWE's okay. I know we do work with Drew Galloway and EC3 and other people that were under contracts with TNA. So I really don't know what the grounds are on that are. I mean, I know I wouldn't talk to them without, talking with Evolve and WWN first,
Sure.
So, yeah.
What are your feelings about possibly hitting up TNA? They've had some losses lately, which we will talk about shortly, but they got tapings this week. There's a lot of names coming back. Bruce Pritchard, who has found newfound fame due to this podcast of his just blowing up all over the world. And they're kind of hitching their wagon to that. They've got Jeff Jarrett back, Dutch Mantell back, Scott D'Amore, who used to do work with them, he's back. I've heard rumors that what's the name of the big dude you worked at the Monster Factory one time? Real big dude.
Luis? Oh, no.
Falbala or whatever the hell his name is.
Falabala.
Yeah, I've heard he might be coming in.
Okay.
I've heard that. I don't know for sure, but I've heard that. What are your thoughts about TNA this day and age?
I think it's good. I think what they're doing is, and I don't mean this in any bad way, I think they're removing a lot of the cost, and I think at this time and age of professional wrestling, I think sometimes it's better to not necessarily cut everything, but cut some of it and start fresh, because I think, there's a lot of up-and-coming talent.
Well, let's talk about that cutting of the cost. They didn't cut these people. They just
Didn't
resign them, come to terms with them. One of them is your boy, Drew Galloway.
I know.
Speaking of your boy, look at this. Look at this beauty. Look at this beauty. Look at this thing. Look at that.
Your boy. Is that real?
That's real? That's real.
Yeah. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
How many
you don't have a your boy shirt. You don't have one. Pitching your catchprised, do you?
How many sales do you have to warrant?
How
about wrestling tees?
Try 1 million sales.
Dude, if you had 1 million sales, you wouldn't be doing this podcast right now.
Yeah, would I be shilling my shirts even more? I would fit a bunch more ads. I'll tell you this, you have to have reached a certain limit before they'll even give you more than 4 designs. We are well past that.
Oh,
Just so you
hey,
know.
you're making money for the company.
I am.
That's good.
But anyway,
That's good.
beyond my shirt pitch there, Drew Galloway's one they didn't re-sign. And he said a lot of it had to do with how late they came with negotiations. Apparently, they were sorting shit out in the office so much that they didn't negotiate with Rebby Hardy, Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy until like the last week. And that pissed a lot of them off, apparently. Is that something that you want to involve yourself in? Like, I mean, this.
Well, no. I mean, to me, that's perfect. It makes perfect sense. Why would you, what happens if you re-sign this guy to a deal and then he like does something fucked up? He might
What are they gonna do? Fucked up?
What do you mean?
Like, what are they gonna do? They were trying to sign Matt Hardy last year. He just didn't do it.
Yeah.
From what I was told, they had verbally agreed on a certain deal. Then they brought at the last minute a completely different deal to him.
That'll happen. Companies do that. I don't like it.
I think there's more to this than you're telling me, Matt.
What do you mean? With this TNA stuff? I haven't heard.
Look at me in the face, Matt. I got the light on you.
I see you. I'm looking right into.
Have you spoken to TNA Wrestling?
I have not. The last time I spoke to TNA Wrestling was the Smashing Pumpkins, dude. Billy Corgan, right?
Corgan. Have you shared a meal with Jeff Jarrett?
No. I'm literally about to fly to Germany in literally a couple hours.
Have you been gifted one of these laser engraved guitars?
No, you're the only guy with the laser guitar on the show.
I am not the only one. Those things are sounding like crazy. Right after I bought it, they had Jeff come in and sign a bunch of them. And after I bought that one for $30, they're now selling for like 180.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop.
They're trying to sell them for $180 now. Can you believe it?
I do believe it. I can't believe they actually sold a guitar, let alone multiple guitars to one.
They've sold several. Jeremy Borash told me they used to be one of the top selling items on the live event circuit.
You see, I get a T-shirt, a do-rag, a bandana, a sweatband. I get that.
Do-rag? You get a do-rag? What are you watching, a fucking Jack Evans match?
But I do not. I don't get the guitar. I don't know how you could sell a guitar. That's crazy.
Well, I'll say this. I sure as hell bought that one sarcastically. Who are you talking to? Is that TNA chirping you on the phone right there?
Just offering me all sorts of deals, and I'm just damn, I'm gonna just have to think about it. No.
Is that what you're saying in the middle of the show? Okay. Are you going to be gifted one of those over your skull when Jeff Jarrett just comes in there and cracks you and he's like, my world, my world? Is that what's going to happen?
If that's what he likes to do from time to time, it's a possibility. I mean, I highly doubt it. I think I would just hit I'd probably just duck under and hit him with a snap German and then probably kick him and knee him in the face or something.
Before you have these conversations, you better go back, watch Royal Rumble 1996. Poor old Ahmed Johnson took a guitar to the dome.
I believe it. Ahmed Johnson was the butt of a lot of jokes. He was a world-class athlete, stallion, and had a sweet moveset, but always seemed to get hurt and get beat up. He
did an interview a couple years ago, and I was a big Ahmed Johnson fan as a kid. I mean, you remember him. He picked up Yokozuna and slammed him and all that stuff. He revealed he was actually 5 or 6 years older than what he told WWE. And he was like, everybody thought I was 25, 26 getting hurt. No, I was 31, 32 already. So he straight up, he pulled a Matt Riddle. He lied his way into a job.
I didn't lie about 5 years. I lied about a couple. I lied about one fight.
That's true.
Well, and at that point of MMA, where MMA was at that time, you could fight. Your first MMA fight could very well be pro.
That's true. That's very true.
At that time, there wasn't really an amateur circuit. It was kind of mixed up.
That's something I'll actually ask you about that later. I'm not done talking about TNA. I want to stretch this shit out. So Matt Jeff Hardy, TNA says they want to go back on the road. Now here's the thing that got me. They used to do these tapings because I would have to schedule these shows with Shane around these tapings. We're not doing a show this week because he's in Orlando. And they used to be like 8-9 days long. Like they would tape 9 straight days. They did that to save cost. What the new company that owns TNA has done is they're doing more tapings, less days. Keep the guys from burning out so much, but they also got to spend more money to bring them in. So that surprises me that so many people have been released. We've seen Jade go, Maria, Mike Bennett, Drew Galloway, EC3, or not EC3, I'm stupid. Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Rebby Hardy, even little Maxwell Hardy. He's gone.
He had a contract?
No, but
he's a package deal.
He's a package deal.
Yeah, I see that.
Kind of like what's your dog's name? Duke or Chief or whatever its name was?
Dutch.
There you go. Sorry. Didn't mean to disrespect the Doge. But
disrespect the dog that I can't get back. That's really appropriate.
I apologize. I mean, if they were to go out on the road, Matt and Jeff Hardy are proven road draws. Like, no disrespect to Mike Bennett and Maria at all. But if you pull up into Lexington, Kentucky, you're not going to fill up the baseball stadiums that they're working, the minor league baseball stadiums they're working on a Mike Bennett Maria. But people will come and see Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy. They know them. You think it's a good idea for them to let somebody like that go, especially Matt Hardy with all the buzz he's gotten them?
Yeah, the Hardys are probably one of their most valuable assets. But then again, if they're trying to, restructure and, redo everything, then maybe there isn't room for the Hardys, it depends on which direction they're taking the company, Like
they want the Hardys. They want the Hardys, but they just brought the contract too late. Apparently, they wanted Galloway too, but they just brought the contract too late.
Yeah, and I would imagine so. That's why I was really shocked. I didn't know if it was, well, now I know it's because they brought the contract too late, but I wasn't sure if it was money or just whatever. But yeah, those are like, if I was TNA, those are a couple assets I wouldn't have lost. I figured they're probably the most expensive assets of the company, but
yeah,
at the same time, they're worth it.
I think I know why you don't care if Drew Galloway has a job or not. You're facing Drew Galloway eventually, and you don't want him to get paid. You don't want him to be nourished. You want him to have food off of his table. That way, he's a weak little kitten when you get him in the ring.
Well, I already beat him this past weekend.
Aren't you facing him again?
I think I am at WrestleMania. It's a grudge match.
At WrestleMania weekend, not physically at WrestleMania, unless there's something else you want to tell us.
You'd never know. Me and Galloway are coming back. We're coming back to the E with our feud. It's so hot on the indies. They're just bringing it.
So my inbox has been crazy because people think that I know everything that goes on in your life. I assure you I don't. I didn't find out he was a shit-eating wild man until this week. So
there's no facts. There's no facts.
So one thing that somebody brought up to me is if TNA made him an offer, WWE would probably step up and be like, no, we want you now. Is that something you would anticipate?
What, if TNA offered me something, WWE would step up?
Yeah, because that's how they are.
Maybe, I don't think so, though. And this is the thing. Even if TNA were to offer me something, they would really have to pitch something pretty sweet. And I don't even mean financially, but I mean storyline-wise. Like, I'm not just trying to go there and wrestle like 10 minutes there and there and there and there and, like, not be really part of something and just have good matches. That's not what I do. So then that's my thing with going to any company, anywhere. It's like, not that I don't mind paying my dues or working my way up the ladder. That's what you do when you get somewhere. But at the same time, I want there to be, a conclusion, an end. I want to see where it's going.
Well, I mean, I can say that I know that to be true because when we were in early contract negotiations for this, one of the things you wanted to make sure of was there was an end date on the contract. Like that, you like to see finality to things, and I can respect that. Now, the way that TNA's been doing stuff, they've lost a lot of people. I don't think losing Mike Bennett and Maria is going to hurt. Losing Jade for them sucks because their women's division isn't that deep right now, and WWE will probably snatch her up real quick.
That'd be good though. She lives down in Florida, I think and Jade's really good. I think she'd be good for the women's division.
Yeah, she is. Are you able to call a woman a stallion? Does that work?
A stallioness.
A stallion. She's a stallioness.
Stallioness.
She is. She's a specimen.
She's good. She's good for sure.
TNA's done stuff a lot different lately. I think they've realized they had to survive. Like I mentioned the Bruce Pritchard thing. His podcast has blown up in popularity. Not like one of the biggest in wrestling, one of the biggest in the world. They're bringing him back as an on-screen character. They're hitching their wagon to him. Josh Barnett, a guy who is suspended right now by about to be suspended by the UFC for a USADA violation, is on there wrestling Bobby Lashley for their world title. They're not opposed to doing things differently, apparently. By the way, what do you think of Josh Barnett doing some pro wrestling in TNA?
All for Josh Barnett. Get at it, brother. Get at it. I like Josh Barnett. I've only met him a handful of times, probably like twice. Nice guy. I think the one time I met him was maybe at PWG, and then the other time was at another indie show that Shayna Baszler was on in LA.
Oh, nice.
So that's where I saw him 2 times. Nice.
Always been fond of him. He's a Billy Robinson dude as well.
He's a baby-faced assassin is what he is.
He's the War Master now. Come on.
He's the War Master.
Yeah.
I like the baby-faced assassin. I mean, he is an old. He is a.
I was gonna say it doesn't work when you're 40.
Yeah. Is he only 40?
He's up there. He's near 40. He's like 38, 39, I think.
No, he's been fighting in the UFC since I was a kid. So
39. My catch coaches went out there and trained with him last year. They said it was a very good experience. Now, beyond this TNA talk, I have to congratulate you, Matthew.
Oh, do you?
You won a shit ton of awards from the Wrestling Observer newsletter.
I know. I saw.
Yeah. This is interesting. We're going to go through these. Wrestling Observer, of course, run by Dave Meltzer, had votings, and they run awards, and they were a little behind this year. But some people are a little confused, Matt, because somehow you have won Rookie of the Year and Most Improved in the same year.
Hey, if you look at the year from start to finish, I would say I did improve light years, and I would also say, it was like my first year on the big, indie scene, So, I mean, it does make sense.
So let's talk about this. Rookie of the Year, you come over from the UFC. And as I mentioned last week, I remember when you made that transition, there weren't a ton of people that were like, yeah, Matt Riddle, he's going to blow up. He's going to be the biggest thing. You didn't hear a lot of that right off the bat. I'm sure you heard it from some people. But
not really, because the thing is, I'm a good fighter. I'm a good grappler. I was always well-rounded. I was just making my way up the UFC ranks when I was released. And so I really didn't have that much steam. I mean, usually when I do something, because I did fight in the UFC and I do have a background, I get some publicity, but it's not usually positive. People are usually like, F this guy, especially from the MMA community.
Well, yeah, you had the spat with Dana, and people, if you have any interaction with Dana publicly, Dana White, you're either going to get a ton of love or a ton of hate. That's just how it is. It's going to be one or the other. But it wasn't just the Rookie of the Year and the Most Improved. You got 9th place in the world in most outstanding wrestler.
Oh, hey, I didn't know that.
Oh, I'm going to run through a bunch of these. 9th, you got above Kushida, who is one of my favorite workers of all time. You got more than Ricochet, Zack Sabre. You got more than virtually everybody in the WWE except for AJ Styles and now Chris Hero.
Well, Chris Hero and AJ Styles are stallions.
That's true. That's true. You got most improved. You won by 6 votes over The Miz, who actually is incredibly improved.
And The Miz improves every day.
Yep. The Miz improved to the level where they're like, you know what? Let's put you and your wife in a match with John Cena at WrestleMania. So, hey.
Is that happening again?
Yeah. It's going to be Nikki Bella and John Cena against The Miz.
I haven't been watching the product. It's been a while.
Hey, that's why we're talking about you instead. Here's a good one. You got 11th place, which is an honorable mention, for most charismatic.
Ooh, that's a good one. You see, like that means something. I've been trying. I know I'm not Nakamura, but I've been working at it. Because
Nakamura got.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, what place did he get?
Nakamura got 2nd behind Conor McGregor because this does include MMA fighters as well.
Oh, hey, Conor McGregor is very charismatic. Nakamura, I'll be honest, I saw the guy live at NXT TakeOver, and the guy is a showman. He is. He just walked out there, like twisted his wrist a little bit, and like fell backwards, almost tore his ACL, and people went crazy.
I'm not big on like having to see a lot of live events, but I like to have like seen at least somebody perform live once in my life. Like I was really happy I got to see you perform live. I've seen Nakamura live, though. Those are cool experiences. What is a cool experience also is that you beat Bill Goldberg in the most charismatic category.
Yes. Is that the only category I beat Bill in, or did I beat
No,
him
you beat him in like every possible category that you probably could have.
You know,
except for like biggest box office draw and things like that, because
damn
he
it.
sells pay-per-views.
He does sell pay-per-view. See, I can't argue that. You just can't argue. Like, can the guy wrestle? No.
Yeah.
Can he kind of get promo? Not at all.
I do this Raw review and people get mad at me. They're like,
can he sell a ticket every single day? Like, if he did a live show every day of the week and ran across the country, he would sell out buildings every day.
People get pissy with me. I do this Raw review and I'll be like, well, Goldberg's promo absolutely sucked, but the crowd was going crazy for it. So what's wrong about it? I mean, if the crowd's going crazy about it and he's putting asses in seats, what he did wasn't really wrong.
Some people can do whatever they want. It doesn't make sense. Some people.
Yeah. You beat Chris Jericho in this category by 13 votes. Most charismatic. That's impressive.
Chris Jericho is a really charismatic guy. You know what? Yes. You know what it did him in this year? Probably was Father Time. I think, like eventually you get to a certain point where it's like, bro, you're cool, but
I don't know. I think he's more over now than he's been in a decade with the list.
I'm not saying he's not over. He's got the list and stuff, but getting up
also
there.
You beat Enzo Amore, who I think burned out at the end.
I don't know if I beat Enzo Amore. That guy.
In the voting, you did.
Okay.
In the voting, you did. You also got 6th place in the Bryan Danielson Award, which is the Daniel Bryan Award, which is Best Technical Wrestler.
Whoa.
You were behind Zack Sabre Jr., Kyle O'Reilly, Kushida, Jack Gallagher, and Marty Scurll. You beat Drew Gulak, Chris Hero, AJ Styles, Shibata, Fred Yehi, TJ Perkins, Timothy Thatcher, Gresham, Cesaro, Nagata, Roderick Strong, Okada. You beat a lot of interesting names there.
Those are some good names. Some good names to beat. some good names to be amongst.
Let's just say, are there any names that aren't good to beat? They're all good to beat.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's also names that you don't mind losing to. The names ahead of me, I don't mind, beating.
Like Sean Ross Sapp, yeah. Your
I don't
boy.
think your boy was on the list.
He was. I think it was a typo from Meltzer. I think it was a typo. Speaking of guys, if you want a Matt Riddle shirt, don't know why you'd want one of those, but kingofbros.com, the place to get them. If you buy one, Matt will let you beat him in a pro wrestling match. We've cleared that. That's a thing.
Probably not. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. But, if you want a shirt, you do have to go kingofbros.com, especially if you're in the States. I will be in Germany and England and all over Europe for the next 2 weeks. So,
that's awesome.
So the next podcast will be done from Europe somewhere. Hopefully.
Ooh.
Yes.
I'm going to do like a highlight video of all of the different places you've podcasted from.
I'm hoping I can get something with like a sick like Verizon cell phone with a good hotspot, and then we can go like somewhere in like a field in Germany and be like
field. Here are some of the other names in the Rookie of the Year category: Leo Rush, Fred Yehi, Shayna Baszler, another former UFC fighter. Daria, okay, here's another interesting one. Daria Baronato, who wasn't from the UFC but is running an MMA gimmick. She got the most votes of anybody in the WWE. She was off of Tough Enough. Would you have ever went through Tough Enough to get to WWE?
No.
Apparently they wanted Moose to do it. And could you imagine how Moose would have dominated that thing?
Yeah, well, this is the thing with pro wrestling and WWE and all that. That's a reality show, and the WWE likes to make characters. So to do like a reality show where you're a character and you're a real person and you're being filmed in both, and I think it's a little much before you even really establish who you are, in the ring.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it really never works out for the people, and they usually change their name. If they do go to the E, they change their name once or twice, right? Am I wrong?
Well, you told me when I interviewed you ahead of the Titan fight years ago, you said, yeah, I'd be interested in pro wrestling, but I'd want to do it as somebody completely different than Matt Riddle. What changed your mind to that?
I still did when I first got to pro wrestling. I wanted to be a different character, just so I could act out a little bit more. But the style of wrestling I wanted to do, it just didn't make sense for me to be a different character. If I'm trying to do more of especially with Evolve or something, if I'm trying to do more of a sport style of wrestling, why would I change my name to Classy Trash or something like that, because but at the same time, it's I have ideas. I've had ideas. It's just
sure.
And they would have been fun, but I think, I'm not saying they wouldn't have got over them. Maybe one day I do that. But I think just me being me works way better than anything, and me being me sells more than anything.
I would say you kind of act, or not you kind of, you act out compared to how you act normally. I mean, you're not running around going, bro, all day. That is you acting out. You are turning up the volume.
Well, you are in front of a live audience, in front of cameras, and it's your time to be a big kid and have a blast. So, yeah, when when I'm everybody's always oh, you're so chill behind the curtain, you're always just relaxed. But when I go out there, I'm there to have fun. I'm there to have fun the whole time. But there's a time and a place where you can really act out and be yourself, and time where you got to be a little more conservative.
You're still young in your career, but do you ever give other people advice on their career, or not their career direction, but their character direction?
People ask me advice all the time. People have been wrestling longer than me, ask me advice, and most of the time I don't know what to say. And anybody that is, if anything, I'm I don't know. It's the only thing I can say, there's no wrong answer. It's as long as it looks good, feels good, you can do it smooth, and it feels right. I think it's right. But you always get that first, just be yourself, just turn it up. And that's kind of hard to understand until you get clicks, and then you're yourself
Yeah.
just turned up, you know.
Now, I wanted to ask you this. We talked about how you got into the UFC earlier before I talk a little UFC 209. What is your opinion on amateur MMA? Because there are a lot of people who feel like it shouldn't be around. There are a lot of people who feel like it is necessary. It is essentially promoters who don't have to pay fighters. And if they're lucky, they make money off the fighters. But they are also typically, like when I say low skilled, I mean, like you can't comprehend the difference of a Matt Riddle and one of these guys. I've called amateur fights. I've called hundreds of amateur fights. And usually the situation is they end in about 10 seconds or they go the full 3 rounds. That's just how they are because of the talent discrepancy. What is your opinion on amateur MMA? Think there should be another way? Like I know it's hard to answer in like one
with
answer.
the popularity of mixed martial arts picking up, more and more people want to fight, even if they don't want to be a professional. They want to test themselves, you know. Yeah. So more and more people are getting in there and fighting. And the thing is, it's really hard to tell who's a killer and who's not, and how to match it up. Because I remember my first fight. And the guy I went out there, he was a little older than me, not by much. He was still in his 20s. Big black guy, looked strong, you know, had like a background in a couple different martial arts, had a jiu-jitsu background, all that. I went out there and I beat the shit out of him. Like I beat him within an inch of his life. And then with like 10 seconds left, I key locked him and ripped his shoulder out of socket. So it's like, and if you looked at both of us, I looked like I was 18 years old, like a preppy kid with like from Pennsylvania, whatever. And this guy had tattoos, looked like a mean dude. And it didn't, you know, like if you saw that fight and with the background, you'd be like, oh, this guy's a wrestler. You'll probably try to take him down and get beat up maybe, or this or that will happen. And I just beat the crap out of him and submitted him because I had the background and experience, you know, and then just fought in the UFC. Well, if I think anybody else went from that and then fought to the UFC, it could be a very poor experience.
What about a CM Punk?
Perfect example, you know, not everybody. And I think his problem was he didn't even have one amateur fight.
And his opponent was on his 5th overall, I think. Between amateur and pro. And it trained for 8 years.
Well, yeah, the big thing is if you get to the UFC, you're usually pretty good, even if you're 5-0 or whatever your record is. So you're pretty talented. And he was coming off a win in the UFC as well. So, but then again, they didn't want to give you CM Punk like a chump, you know. And I think it was
why would they?
Yeah, why would they? And I think it was also a way to like kind of make maybe professional wrestling look bad.
Sure. I always thought that. I think that they knew exactly what they were getting into, putting him up against a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. And they should have. Why not? Are you going to – I mentioned hitch the wagon. You're going to hitch your wagon to a 37-year-old ex-WWE guy who might fight once?
And I think it would have been a little different perhaps. CM Punk was ready to fight sooner.
Yeah.
But he's was ready to go and then like took like what, 2 years to fight?
Yeah, almost 2 years. And that's another thing. Like, this isn't a guy who just sat around.
It took until I was over until he fought. I
mean, he isn't just a guy off the streets. He did train at Rufus Sport for a year and a half, and that is a great school. But, man, not at the level that – he ain't Mickey Gall's level. And, hey, Mickey Gall worked out. He immediately called out Sage Northcutt, beat Sage Northcutt.
That was an easy fight for him. That's just money.
Oh, of course. Did you see? It was actually hilarious. You know, Sage Northcutt is like pure as the whitest snow, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's been training with Tyron Woodley ahead of UFC 209 because Tyron Woodley wants somebody who can emulate Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's style.
Perfect, yeah.
So there's this video of Tyron Woodley, and he's seasoning chicken, and Sage Northcutt's like, whoa, man, what are you doing? What is that? What are you doing, man? Tyron's like, I'm seasoning this chicken. Why? He's like, I've never had seasoned chicken before. Is that okay, Mr. Woodley?
Hey, and
then Woodley flips it over, and he's like, now listen, calm down. This might freak you out. but I'm going to season the other side of the chicken. And I guess in an interview later, Woodley said that boy has only eaten 3 M&Ms in his whole life and was scared to death. He did enjoy the seasoned chicken, though. What do you make? You think it's an act? Do you think it's an act, or do you think it's legit?
I don't know. He's from Texas, right?
I don't know where the hell he's from.
State Northcutt's from Texas, I'm pretty sure. Some Texas karate kid.
Yep. Katy, Texas.
Yeah, some Texas karate kid, probably into nothing against Texas, but, probably really religious too. Nothing against religious people. But, he's probably just not, he's very strict and worries about stuff a lot, and so
he turned 21 yesterday. You think he's getting liquored up?
I doubt it. If he's worried about 3 M&Ms and he's training with Tyron Woodley, probably not.
Speaking of Tyron Woodley, oh, by the way, to your point about the amateur thing, I can't count the number of times I'll sit at the announcer's table ringside. I'll look in the cage, and as they're getting their name called, you see they're ready to shit their pants. They're like, "This is happening.
Yeah,
this is what I'm getting into."
It's a real life moment. That's why I don't care who you are. It messes with you a little bit. Yeah, I always thought it was fun though. I'd always think to myself, worst thing that happens is I get knocked out in 10 seconds, or
I saw you laugh after you got taken down once in your last fight.
Yeah, well, that's because I never expected him to take me down. Then that happened.
He was the judo guy. Speaking of judo guys, I'll transition here. UFC 209. I'm not sure if you know who the hell Dan Kelly is. He's an Australian sensation, 39 years old.
Ooh.
39 years old, and he's 5-1.
Ooh.
He is taking on Rashad Evans, who is making his middleweight debut. Now, I don't give a damn if I ever see Rashad Evans fight again, because his fights are boring as shit. But what do you think of Rashad Evans trying to stretch out that career at 185? He's 37 years old. He wasn't medically cleared twice ahead of this fight. He's lost 2 fights in a row.
Why wasn't he medically cleared?
He didn't disclose it. But he had to undergo additional screening with a neurologist to prove he was healthy enough to fight. But he hasn't won since 2013. He's only won 2 fights in the last 5 years. And the only 2 people he's beaten are Dan Henderson, Chael Sonnen in those 5 years.
Only people he's beaten. Those are 2 pretty stellar names.
2 pretty stellar names that were about 57 years old when he beat them.
Still pretty good.
That's true. And Dan Henderson and
Chael
Sonnen.
If I beat Dan Henderson right now in my prime, I would still gloat.
Oh, of course.
All over the place.
Of course.
So Rashad's legit for sure.
To your point, yeah, he's legit. To your point, they were also on TRT as well.
Yeah.
Both of them.
I will say this. Stretching it out at 185, that's a risky move. Then again, maybe he's lost size over time just doing MMA training, and it's easier for him to lift less weight and push, and go for speed. The one of the things that made Rashad so effective at heavyweight when he was on the Ultimate Fighter and light heavyweight in the UFC was his speed. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to have the same speed at this age. At this weight, he's not going to have the same speed advantage. Then again, the guy he's going against is a judo guy, But 4-ounce gloves, the guy can't get cleared for fights, probably because he's been knocked out or punched a couple times. So, it's a risky thing. I don't know. You know me, man. Hang it up early.
Hey, not everybody has that same option, Matt. Not everybody can step into pro wrestling and be the
I didn't have that option. It was just I went this route. Fighting just wasn't working out. And if fighting was working out, I'd still be fighting, probably for another couple of years. But I'd be done at 35 because I think after fighting after 35, that's just unhealthy, especially if you've been fighting since you're 22, Now
I'll say this. I think what you did will cause more people to do that. But I think
look at Tom Lawler.
He throws a pretty nice German suplex. I'll give him that.
Dude,
But,
he's a stallion. I think I might eventually meet up against him one of these days.
Yeah, he throws one hell of a German suplex. I saw it. But I think that also what will happen is a lot of these people will think, Matt Riddle did it, I can do it. And then they'll realize it's real fucking hard.
Yeah, wrestling's one of those things you really gotta want it. And you gotta have like a good name in MMA. Like, now that mine was crystal clear. But
it was a little hazy, would you say?
You might say that.
A little smoky.
But I was on like a 4-fight win streak in the UFC and then like another win outside the UFC. So, with that said, hasn't lost a fight since forever ago.
Yeah. We got a hell of a fight to talk about. Alistair Overeem and Mark Hunt. These two guys are just going to punch each other in the face repeatedly.
I hope Overeem wins a split decision, then tests positive for steroids, and Mark Hunt just loses his mind.
Oh my God! If that happens,
Mark Hunt's gonna stab somebody.
if that happens, I have to get Jimmy Van to get Mark Hunt for a weekly podcast just to hear him go off in the accent.
Dude, I feel bad for him. He just fights guys that do steroids, and nobody cares. And I'm so bad for him.
So here's the thing. I don't get what he wants out of life. I don't understand what he wants. Obviously, he wants to fight people who aren't on fucking steroids.
He wants to fight in a clean environment.
But here's what he says. He says, before the Lesnar fight, I don't give a fuck. I know he's juicing. Well, then he gets the shit beat out of him. Mm-hmm. Lesnar tests positives, and all of a sudden he does care. Understandable. Hey, sometimes you can take a step back on that. But here's the thing, Matt. Then USADA comes to test him, and he's mad about it. He's mad. So either you want people tested or you don't.
Well, did he take the test and pass?
He took the test and passed, of course. But he bitched about it a lot. He was like, fuck these guys. Why are they here testing me?
Yeah, I think it's because they had to test you. You're like nobody would suspect you, so they had to test you.
Of course.
And I guess they test everybody, and they make it awkward for everybody. Like I'll be honest, I'm really glad I'm not in the UFC because I'd be like, guys, again.
They climbed up Elias Theodorou's fire escape of an apartment he was at. To get in, I don't know if it was a door or a window, to be like, time for your drug test. And Elias told us while they did that, he was wearing a free Nick Diaz shirt.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. But you see, I don't know why they go at such great lengths and extremes, It's just like, just wait for him to leave his apartment. Call him. You have his cell. You have his email, just wait. It's like, I don't know why. Like, what do you think he's going to do in there?
Matt, it took me 3 texts to get you to answer me about what time this damn podcast was going to start. You think that people are going to avoid a drug test?
I was driving and I was at work. Now, if you showed up to where I was working and texted me.
If I showed up to where you were working, I would hope that there would be larger concerns. But also, here's the Mark Hunt thing. He says, I want out of my UFC contract. I don't want to fight here anymore if that's how it is. Where the fuck's he gonna fight and not face people on steroids? Yeah. Is he gonna go to Japan and expect to fight people not on steroids? Because Mirko Krokop's just waiting over there, juiced to the gills, winning K1 tournaments and rising open weight tournaments.
He looks good. I know everybody's probably looking at him and being like, "We need to go back. Fuck America."
Cop is something like 15-2 in combat sports outside of the UFC since his first firing. So that tells you what that type of stuff does for you.
Well, I've trained with multiple people on HGH and testosterone and all that jazz, and let me tell you, it makes a huge difference for some people. Some people it just makes them stronger and more aggressive, and it doesn't really help. Other people, the people with the technique. Like when you get a Vitor Belfort or somebody on T, that's dangerous because that guy is he's precise. And then when he's got the right sauce, it's dangerous.
Also, Lando Venata faces David Teemer. I don't expect you to know either one of those guys.
I don't, but I looked excited.
Lando is a hell of a fighter. He almost put down Tony Ferguson on short notice last year. But
holy shit, almost.
Tony Ferguson fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's a hell of a fight.
That Khabib guy's pretty dangerous.
21 takedowns in one fight he landed.
The guy's good. You're gonna have to catch him on the chin and hurt him, and he'll
wrestle bears as a child.
And he still probably won't be scared. He'll still probably take you down and hurt you. So
I love his trash talk, Matt.
He's good. Great. He's good. He brings it to all elements. It's a good
Did you see what he did during the Michael Johnson fight?
Yeah, my cousin showed me.
Well, one, he was telling Michael Johnson, give up. You know I have to fight for this title, as he's pummeling him into the mat. Then in between rounds, he tells Dana White, I'm going to fuck up your son, Connor.
You said that was some ferocity to me.
Yeah. I mean, he said it a little more polite. He's like, I'm going to fuck up your son.
Connor.
My favorite was after the fight, whenever he's doing the media scrum and he's talking to everybody. And they're talking about Conor McGregor not fighting him. He goes, this is number one bullshit. That's an excellent one. How you think that one will go, Khabib?
Well, Khabib, yeah, Khabib's got that. I don't see it going the other way.
As we wrap it up, we got Woodley, Stephen Thompson, the rematch. I think Woodley's got a lot more that he can improve on here, but this is a hell of a rematch. It's not going to sell a bunch of pay-per-views probably, but it's a hell of a rematch. Tyron Woodley wanted to fight Michael Bisping. He wanted to fight Nick Diaz. He wanted to fight GSP. He wanted that big payday. He got Stephen Thompson for the second time.
This is what's got to happen. Stephen Thompson's got to use his range, use his striking, use the cage to keep himself on his feet. That's what he's got to do. Tyron Woodley needs to use his range and time the penetration shot or time the shot or clinch when he comes in for the strikes, which is just as easy. You guys both have to play that range game. It's a little hard with Stephen Thompson, but it's just what you got to do. And you got to play it right and close and come in. And, it's tricky, but it's not that bad, And once he gets on top, Tyron's got to make sure he just doesn't hold. Thompson's good enough where he'll get up to his feet if you just try to hold his legs or hold his body. You got to pass his guard when he tries to stand up, take his back, throw your hooks in, return him to the mat. Maybe, throw a couple uppercuts, get him against the cage, clinch again, you got a guy like Stephen Thompson, you got to make it a fight. If you don't make it a fight, it's going to be him standing on the outside picking his shots, doing all this spinning shit, And those are facts.
He's only lost one time in his career, but I had a conversation with a guy that actually and Wonder Boy.
He lost to Matt Brown.
Yeah.
Matt Brown Matt Brown beat the shit out of him.
Yes.
And all he did was take him down and be aggressive and made it a fight. That's all you had to do. Make it a fight.
Now that was 5 years ago, so things have changed. But I mean, there was stuff I actually spoke to Chris Clements about once, who you fought. And he was telling me about some of the things that he had done to scout Wonder Boy when they fought. And as I watched that Woodley fight, a lot of those same things were still happening. So and here's my big question.
Now, when did Chris Clements fight Stephen Thompson?
September 2013. Once it was UFC 165, the Jones Gustafson card.
So it was after I fought Clements.
Yes.
Oh, did he get his ass whooped?
He lost second round KO, I think. He landed a nice sweep. The reason why I wanted to talk to him, you could see Thompson leading, and he was like almost giving away that he was going to kick. And Clements hit this like crazy, like Mortal Kombat sweep, like spinning sweep kick that just knocked Thompson off his feet. What I want to know is, at what point do you become the Wonder Man instead of Wonder Boy? Because the son of a bitch is 34 years old.
He does look a little old.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize he was older than me.
Yeah. He had a long kickboxing and karate career. Now, before we go, I want to ask you your opinion on GSP. He's back. He's fighting Michael Bisping for the middleweight title later this year. Yoel Romero, you got to wait. Sorry, buddy. If I'm UFC, I put Jacare versus Romero 2 on that undercard, just in case one of them gets hurt. What are your opinions on this?
Well, one, I don't think GSP should have came back.
Really?
Because what does he do if he beats Bisping? Does he get the belt and then defend it? And then get his soul taken from him? Eventually?
Yeah, probably.
What does he do then? So one, that's just bad. I think the fight,
and Bisping used to fight at 205. People are forgetting that. He's a big dude.
Bisping has knockout power, all that, but at the same time, GSP is really good, really strong, and I think it's a better fight for GSP than a lot of the other fights. I think he'll be able to take it to the ground, and I think GSP striking matches up well with Bisping. GSP, from last time I saw him, does have a good chin, but it has been a while since he's been hit in a big-time fight in front of a big-time crowd. And, then again, I remember watching him fight Carlos Condit at the Bell Center and getting head kicked and fighting back through it. So, the guy's a stud, but you know how I feel, man. You got to leave on top. You got to hang it up sometimes, and he hung it up, and now he's coming back, and I think it's a good fight, but I don't know where he's going to go if he wins. And there's still a really good shot Bisping whoops his ass or TKOs him or knocks him out because Bisping's a bigger guy. Bisping has proven time and time again. He beat Anderson Silva. He beat Luke Rockhold. He's the middleweight champion of the world right now and has been. Hasn't he defended it as well?
Who, Bisping?
Yeah.
Yeah, against Dan Henderson. He almost lost it, too.
Fought Dan Henderson, defended it. That old guy who's a stallion. Like I said, if I beat Dan Henderson tomorrow, I'd brag about it. If I had a whole camp and he had 24 hours notice, I'd still brag about it.
Guys, if you're watching this, hop over in a few minutes. Check out the stream with Showdown Joe and UFC Hall of Famer Frank Trigg. They're going to break down UFC 209 as well. Matt, before we go, what do you got going on this weekend?
Well, this weekend, it's a biggie. I believe I'm in Germany for the 16-carat tournament. I don't know which cities in Germany, but I know I'm part of the tournament. Jeff Cobb, Donovan Dijak, Mike Speedball Bailey, Tim Thatcher. I could go on. There's a lot of stallions in this tournament.
Bunch of guys you beat in Wrestling Observer Award votings.
Oh, with ease. With ease.
Well, Matt, safe travels. Of course, guys, register at Fightful.com. We'll probably make this open Saturday morning or something. That way you all can get Matt's UFC 209 thoughts. But register for free early access. No Shane Helms show this week. He is in Orlando.
What, Shane?
Huh?
What, Shane?
No Shane Helms podcast this week.
Boo.
Well, maybe you'll be able to do one with him from Orlando soon because TNA is probably going to ring your phone off the fucking hook.
I don't know about that.
Until next time, guys, we're out.
Later.